Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel Wake Up Bright, where I share all the things that help me live each day a little brighter. I am April Lauren and I have been sharing my weight loss journey here on YouTube for so long at this point. And last April, I had the duodenal switch, and this is my 1 year update video. I should do one year update video. I am so excited to dive into this with y'all. Let's just get started. It's hard for me to comprehend where I was at in July 2020. I don't love myself, and that makes it hard to be lovable when you hate yourself. And I'm coming to terms with who I am, but I don't know if that makes any sense what I'm saying. I can't be mean to myself and be like, you're not worth doing yoga. You're not worth putting on a bathing suit and going down by the river. You're not worth these things. You can do those things when you're thinner. That's not okay, and I'm not doing that anymore. I was very determined that I was gonna figure it out, that I was gonna stop dieting and just eat a healthy, whole foods, balanced diet and try to move. I could not walk to my mailbox without excruciating pain. Heck, I couldn't walk to the end of my driveway to get to the road to walk to my mailbox, which was not far at all from my house, without, like, I want to say it's like a 1/10 of a mile or something to the mailbox, not far, without so much pain. I couldn't walk in the grocery store without a lot of pain. And through the years, that disappeared, and I went from not being able to move to being able to move, and training for a half marathon. I showed up, I completed the half marathon, not within the time frame. It was a fairly competitive race that I picked. I did not pick a first timer half marathon. I'm sure people have done it for their first half marathons, not a whole marathon, but half marathons. But anyway, training at sea level for a race that's 4,000 feet above sea level wasn't my wisest choice, but I got in there and I did it. And so much since y'all met me that I never thought that I would. And one of those things, of course, is getting weight loss surgery. I hoped that I would never gain weight back. And when I found myself here depressed and so much heavier, like I was in the depths of despair. Like I was so distraught, and I don't even know how to go back and describe that state of mind I was in. And when I went to the doctor, he brought weight loss surgery up, not right away. So we treated my depression first, and then he brought up weight loss surgery. And I'm so grateful that he did, because I was so resistant to even entertaining the idea of getting weight loss surgery. And then after the info session, I'm like getting the most aggressive weight loss surgery. I don't think it's necessarily the most aggressive, at least I think there's a high risk. And I got lucky that while I had some complications, they weren't the most serious types of complications. And so I don't know. I feel like with all of the weight loss surgeries, like there's high risk, there's just so much. Anyway, after speaking with my surgeon, chose the duodenal switch, some say, and I'm so grateful that I did. Wish I didn't need it. And I also wish I would have gotten this weight loss surgery in Missouri. I would have started that process, because in Missouri, I went to a fertility doctor and he had suggested weight loss surgery. And this is before I reached my heaviest. So at this point, I think I was like maybe 310 pounds. So I gained another 40 pounds pretty rapidly. And then May, I started working out. And by working out, I just mean trying to move. Like I would do squats up against the wall. Like for a long time, what I did was so minimal, and I still couldn't walk. Like, so I wasn't even trying to like walk a mile or walk period for any length of time, because it was just so painful. So, and I had gotten up to 352.8 pounds by the time I started to share here on YouTube. I lost and got all the way down to the upper 240. So I was like, I didn't stay there long. My weight rebounded. So I got to like 248, I want to say. And then I stayed around 250 for a while. And then as we moved, it just started creeping on. And then when we actually started the travel portion, I gained maybe 10 pounds fairly quickly. When I got to Hawaii, I still hadn't gained that much weight. It wasn't really until we moved into our home. And I think we're far away from like the movement that I was doing was saving me. That's why I hadn't already ballooned up, because I was eating a lot and I was eating bad foods. And then when we got settled, I didn't dive into a fitness routine or try to maintain anything. And I just ballooned up quickly. And as I shared, hit that low point. Once I decided to get weight loss surgery, I've shared this with you all before. I'll link videos that are probably more detailed. I had to go to therapy. I had to be cleared by a psychologist. I had to be cleared by other health practitioners. I had to meet with a dietitian and go through a series of courses, and then I'm still meeting with that dietitian. So I haven't met with her since my 6-month appointment, but I have to meet with her for my annual appointment still. My provider's on an extended leave, so I'm not going to be able to get into my appointment until June. And so I do those appointments at the same time, because it's not the farthest trek, but it's enough for me to not want to go over there multiple times. So that's just been my way, is going in for those 2 appointments together. So June, I will be doing my 1-year follow-up and my 1 year with my dietitian. And I am excited for both of those appointments. And I am very excited to get my 1-year follow-up appointments. So this video, just talking about where I've been, where I was when I had the surgery, and where I am now. So without further ado, I feel like the question on most people's mind is, how much did I lose? And some people lose so much, and other people don't lose hardly anything at all. I am very happy that I have lost what I have lost, and I look forward to continuing to lose. On April 2nd, 2024, I went in and got my liquid diet. That day, I weighed 317.9 pounds. As of April 21st, I weigh 214.8 pounds. So that's a loss of 103.9 pounds. So my math was not mathing. It is 103.1 pounds, not 103.9. So pounds after having the duodenal switch. Let's dive into side-by-sides. The side-by-sides are absolutely my favorite thing that I have done since the beginning. So if you go back to other videos like pre-weight loss surgery, when I was losing weight from 2020 until 2022, I have so many videos showing my progress. And while I'm always a slow loser, it's so rewarding to see the changes, and also to see the changes that strength training makes to your body. Even if you're not that great and you're not able to do that much, every little bit helps you get a little further until you can do so much more. Looking back at those videos I shared at the beginning of this, it's amazing to me. So now that we watched the video, I kind of waited until this part to share my breakdown of the changes that I see. So looking at my front, I see so much change on my face, around my neck, my collarbone, the way my arms hang and the way that they feel by my side is amazing. My chest is not as heavy. My body doesn't pull me down forward. It doesn't pull me into this like crouched position anymore, which is so wonderful. And I just love how freely I move. I love that the flesh in between my legs does not block my movement as more. From the side, I do have quite a hefty bat wing. At least it's not like a huge mound of flesh anymore. Like there's still quite a bit of fat there, but not nearly as much. And it's just a sign of my progress. Appreciate the changes in my feet, in my posture, and my jawline. Again, I don't love the hangy skin like from my jawline, but I have a jaw. I have a jawline. I have a neck. Like there's separation between my shoulders and my head, whereas before there really wasn't separation there. And it makes me so happy and proud to have changed the way that I have. And I'm so grateful for this procedure. And I'll talk later in the video about positive changes that have come from this, and I'll really talk at length about what I feel is one of the best, and that is that I can feel fullness and food doesn't occupy my mind nearly as much. And it's just such a blessing this surgery has been, and I am so excited to continue to go forward. Now, as I shared just a few seconds ago, I am a fairly slow loser. So even on the fast that I did, so the pre-op diet was just liquids, I still only lost 3 pounds in that period of time, whereas some people don't lose any, but most people lose like 10, 15, 20 pounds. And so I was extraordinarily disappointed to have just lost 3. However, as I shared, I am a slower loser. That's just is what it is, and that is okay. So my highest weight ever was 352.8 pounds, and I reached that in the summer of 2020. And then I started implementing changes to learn how to eat a healthy diet, not a diet as in like keto or any specific diet, just a balanced nutritional diet. And I slowly lost weight. However, it did not guard me from regain or from depression. And that's one awesome thing about the duodenal switch, is that it does make it harder, not impossible. People do regain, but it does make it's just another tool to help me not regain. And I am so grateful for that. So 1 month post-op, I was 284. We're skipping down to 3 months, I was 259. 6 months, I was 233. And now I am 214.8. And we're going to look at all of those together, all of those side by sides together. And it's just amazing looking at the fat and also muscle melt away, all of the weight melt away. So in these pictures, you're seeing 99.9 pounds of change. And that's because I didn't take video pre-op, because while my weight was recorded at that pre-op appointment, I did not take photos or video of my body. So this is the morning of surgery, and I am just so happy to see so much change in my body, so much change in my face. And I don't want to just be a broken record and repeat everything I just said, but the side view is where I see the most change, and also the back view and the front. Really, I just see it everywhere. I lose sort of everywhere all at one time, and I gain everywhere all at one time. I was so large, so back at 352.8 especially, but at 314.7, I was so large everywhere that it looks like I'm carrying all of the weight in my belly, but I'm not. Like, my arms were huge. The flesh on my sides were huge. So much. My legs were huge. Everything, my neck was as big as my head. Like, there's no neck. I had weight everywhere. And I'm so grateful to have visible bone structure and to have the ease of movement that I do now. I'm overwhelmed by the changes I see when I look at this footage, and I'm so grateful to have it. The side-by-sides are always my favorite part. It humbles me, it motivates me, and aside from me just not liking the way I look, it's a beautiful thing to have, to be able to look at where I was and where I am, and I'm so grateful. So if you are on a weight loss journey, I highly recommend whatever weight loss journey you're on, or any sort of, like, let's say your strength or you're trying to gain weight, taking pictures along the way help so much, especially when you're combating like negativity in your mind or even external negativity. So whenever you share anything online, or really just in general, people are going to have opinions, and sometimes those are going to be negative, and having things to look at when we're in a negative headspace, I think, is so helpful. So love having my progress photos and things. My goal is to lose about another 70 pounds, and I don't know how fast I'll be able to make that happen, but that is my goal. So I am so excited to be where I'm at. Life is unrecognizable to me, the life that I lived at 352.8 pounds, the life that I was living when I reached 317. None of those struggles do I have anymore, and I am so grateful for that. As far as mobility, I don't get overheated all of the time. There's just so many upsides physically. I would love to have lost more weight. However, I am very grateful that I didn't have really bad complications. So some people have issues when they get this surgery, and they just, the pounds melt away. Well, the pounds didn't melt away for me, and I'm okay with that. I would love, on one hand, for the pounds to have melted away and for me to almost be at my goal weight. I would have loved for me to have focused on the fitness elements and been more precise and not needed to add in the rice and other carbs as my dietitian directed. And I feel like I would have had more weight loss doing that. There's so many like if-then thoughts that I have, or that like comparison to other people's journeys. However, I am so grateful to be where I'm at and to be going where I'm going. So I feel really great. I don't have the same exhaustion. I still get overtired, more so than before the surgery, but nowhere near what was happening. I do sometimes still have some burning in my stomach, but nowhere near what I was experiencing. I did have a procedure for some of that as well, and that was helpful. So yeah, let's talk about my complications. My biggest and most annoying complication, I feel, was, well, they're all really annoying. So I was sick so much, so sick. Like, I caught every single thing and was just miserable. And not only that, but even when I wasn't sick, I had this level of exhaustion that it was very frustrating. Very frustrating. Just everything I did for so long exhausted me. And I am so grateful to be past that. So I hope that when I get my labs drawn, that I'll see like my vitamin levels are all up to par and everything's good, and maybe like my body's having a better time at absorbing things. Also not getting quite as dizzy and lightheaded anymore. I still do get dizzy and I still do get lightheaded, but there for a while, it was just all of the time. Like, I didn't want to stray too far from a wall just in case I need to like brace myself. So very happy that is becoming a thing of the past, and hopefully that will just continue. And if not, then I would say being as mobile and being as capable as I am now and feeling as good as I do now is worth it, even with the negative sides. So the other big complication I had was I had polyps all over my stomach. So I had a stomach ulcer, and then where they performed the procedure, I had several polyps. And so we had to, my surgeon did a procedure for that, and then I went on a slightly different diet. They also took me off of this one medicine that they had given me to like halt acid production. So they weren't really sure what caused it, but all around where the surgery site was, where the staple lines are on the inside, I had polyps. So that was my biggest medical, I guess they're all technically medical. I have weird teeth things. So I at one point I had a spot and I was like, oh no, it's a cavity. I did switch my toothpaste, and I had intended on going to the dentist, but it was when I noticed it was a period where I was sick and I just stayed sick. And so I was brushing my teeth with this. Let me grab it. So it's this. And so it's the Sensodyne Pro Enamel Intensive Enamel Repair. I'm not saying that and it may have nothing to do. It may have just been like the time went by. I wasn't as sick. I was getting better. My body maybe was absorbing vitamins better. And you could see the recalcification over my teeth where those things healed. So that toothpaste was great for that. That was a weird thing that I feared. I always have weird fears about teeth. I've always had like nightmares ever since I was a little kid about teeth and losing them or them like crumbling. And so not a fun time. And then I also noticed like just the way my teeth feel against my tongue has changed. So got to get into the dentist. I've gone for one cleaning, and we're watching my mouth. Literally, we're watching what's going on in there. Also, which may have a play on that, is there's no fluoride in the water in Hawaii. So it's just a little different. So I do use a fluoride mouthwash. And I try to use toothpaste with fluoride in it. But this toothpaste, I don't know how much fluoride or if it has fluoride in it. But the enamel support, whether it's only in my mind that it's helped or it's really helped, I don't know. But if you're having teeth issues, maybe try that toothpaste and go to your dentist. But go to your dentist and follow your dentist advice. The other thing that I had was tons of hair loss. So I feel like it's not as obvious with me because I have so much hair. I did also cut my hair. So I gave myself, when it got really bad, like it was starting to get really noticeable up in here. I'm a little sweaty, so it looks worse, I think, than it is. But like up in here, like there's just so much. Like I've always had wispy like baby hairs and stuff, but I'm gonna leave my hair alone because it's sweating and now I feel gross, so I need to go wash my hands. I'm a sweaty human. So anyway, I have had lots of hair loss. It's really interesting because as it comes back, I've got so many gray hairs. Like I don't know if gray's the right word. It's like they're clear almost. Like it's like the absence of color, and those things just sprout up. So that's fun for me. But the hair loss was, I never really lost it to the point where it looked really horrible. However, it was very, very noticeable to me in different spots where I could just feel it felt very thin to me. And then there were a couple like spots like way up in here where when I was wearing my hair up, it began to be a little noticeable. However, I have a lot of hair, so I'm unconvinced that it was noticeable to anyone but me. However, it was very noticeable to me. What was more noticeable though was the amount of hair that just was everywhere. If I was working beside someone, there's a good chance that they're walking away with my hair. I sit by somebody at church, I'm leaving hair like on the pew. And I know we always shed hair, but this was a lot of hair. Hair everywhere, just mounds of hair. And part of it is that my hair's so long, so if it was shorter, it wouldn't have looked quite as alarming. But like every time I take a shower, even now, I'm still shedding quite a bit of hair, but then I do have hair coming in, so that's good. But the hair loss was a lot. I'm grateful it wasn't more. However, if it would have been, then I would have dealt with it, and that would have been that. So that the hair was definitely expected. The teeth, I thought I was being sort of irrational about my fear, before I started seeing the things that I was seeing in my mouth and then feeling the things. So especially like the one spot where I know it was like, oh, I need to go to the dentist and get that filled. And then as I started using that other toothpaste and like really making sure I was flossing, and I also started getting better. So as I said, my body might have just been absorbing the calcium and other things that I'm taking better. So that went away. And yeah, so that's that. So another not as happy thing is I sort of hate the way that I look now. Part of it I think is just I'm looking my age, which would likely happen anyway. But I do feel like losing the fat in my skin, I just like, there's so much hanging. So in the future, one day, I will probably get like a neck lift probably more than anything, and a face, maybe in a facelift. I don't know. I'm so weird. I don't like makeup. I've never done anything like Botox or fillers, so it's very bold of me to think that I could do plastic surgery because I'm very weird about things. Like, I just don't like it. Like, I don't like when I wear makeup, it's minimal. I don't like anything that alters the way I look to any sort of degree. So, but I do believe that once I'm at goal weight, like, I will likely get skin removal surgery. But even more so than like my flabby arms or like my flabby midsection, or my flabby thighs, it's my face that like, I don't like that I feel droopy or like, but that's, probably just going to get worse. So I'm preparing for that. And the reality is that it doesn't matter. I am not my face. Like, that does not define who I am or my purpose in life or any of the things. Like, I need to detach from defining myself by picturing, like, I don't know, maybe that's just something weird that I've started thinking about maybe this past year or so. Because I feel like we do, as I think it's human nature, we like identify ourselves by like our appearance and how other people see us, like, and other people define us by like how we look. And I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just, if you're walking down the street and somebody sees you, how do they recognize you? Well, they recognize you by the way that you look. If they can't see, then maybe they recognize you by the way you smell, like whatever, like things that identify us, but those things don't define us or our worth. And so that's important for me to remind myself, like, it's a glorious thing to age. And it's a beautiful thing to have wrinkles. And I love my husband. I love my husband so much. But I love that, what I was going to say is he, whenever I talk about like some of the saggy skin that I have, like on my inner thighs or like just other places, he's like, I look at it like a badge of like honor. Like, you have lost that weight and now that's like a trophy of where you were and where you are now. And so he has he has the best like uplifting but like most practical, it's like very practical stuff. He's like, that's a sign that you had a problem and you did something about it. Like, that's a symbol of your progress. And so I think that's a very beautiful and amazing. I just think my husband's amazing. But Tiffy, oh, she's so cute. Oh, I ruined it. I'm sorry. You were so cute laying up there. Oh, that made my heart happy. Oh, I ruined it. She was perfect. You were perfectly positioned. Julio's back there too. I don't know if you can see him or if you just see the chair. Just the chair. He's behind me though. I can't move out of the way. Anyway, now that I've talked about the more negative aspects of the surgery, I want to talk about the positive things, the way that I feel, the confidence that I have. So before I had gotten to a point where everything was kind of a potential pain point, or like I would worry like, oh, if I trip and come down, like I'm going to break my leg, like all of these different things. I hiked this one hike here and it took me forever to hike it. And I just remember being so fearful of like permanent injury over just slipping and sliding just a little bit. I think it's amazing how different life is. Like I still am overweight. I still have a lot of weight to lose. However, I am not nearly as fearful of movement as I was. Oh, another fun story. At least I think it's a fun story. It's probably not another one because I don't know how many stories I've actually shared. But my nephews and my sister-in-laws came into town, and so we went to Wet and Wild here on Oahu, and a lot of those rides have weight limits, and I wouldn't have been able to ride a lot of them. And it felt so good. There was this one ride where like the maximum weight couldn't exceed some weight, and then no individual could exceed a weight. I don't remember what those weights were, but I remember the relief when I realized that there was not a single weight limit that I was close to, and that that felt so good. It felt so good to not be embarrassed or like fearful that I might be turned away, or the idea of getting on a scale, because one of the scales, like everyone who's riding on the ride, you all get on a scale, and it doesn't like tell you how much you weigh exactly, but it does like either light up green or red. If you're red, then you can't go. And if you're all red, then not none of y'all, because I would have had to get off and then they would have met the requirement, but I didn't have to worry about that. And that was such a relief to me. It felt so good to not have to worry about weight limit. And it made me excited for going. I love amusement parks, theme parks. I haven't been to one in years, but it made me excited about the thought of going and being able to ride the rides. And I don't know when we'll go to a theme park, but I know that I'm going to fit, and that's going to be so wonderful. And I'm so happy that I had that experience at the water park, of not feeling shame for weighing too much, and then also for just not weighing too much. It was a really good feeling. As I shared, I have more confidence in my ability to carry myself in things that I do. I don't have to think about safety or preparation as much. And maybe I didn't have to think about it as much before, but overheating and heat exhaustion, heat stroke, like those things are real. So hydrating your body and being prepared is good, and it's important. So it feels really good not feeling like I need a whole camel pack on my backpack, in a backpack, to go on a walk. So there's one hike here that's really flat, and anytime I would go on that hike, I would always like fill up like I don't even know how many gallons or liters, but I would have like a straight up camel pack, and then I would drink it all. And at the end, it's not like I had to go to the bathroom. I was sweating that out. So it feels good to not need that. Like my body does not require as much to do basic functions. Another thing, and this is probably something that makes the surgery the most worth it to me. Actually, it is the most worth it thing that this surgery has given me, is that I now recognize fullness cues. Like I know when I have had enough to eat. Like my body tells me. Like there's so many things that alert me to, oh, you've had enough. And it's amazing to me. As much as I can't fathom exactly what it was like to have that immense pain just by moving, like even going to the grocery store or walking in a parking lot, like it's hard for me to go back to that place. It's hard for me to understand how I was able to eat so much. Even when I was dieting, Like, I just never felt that fullness. I had started to feel it a little bit, but it really wasn't my body signaling me as much as it was I didn't have a mental need. I don't know if that makes any sense, but now my body just tells me, like, you have eaten enough. It's time to stop. And that is amazing. Also, I don't think about food all of the time. Like, before the surgery, even throughout the time that y'all have known me, food has always had to be something that I've thought about too much. The idea of tracking food was overwhelming because it made me think about it, and I had to think about it, and I was already trying to not think about it all of the time. And so now when I track my food, it's really just, it's nothing except for I'm tracking to make sure that I'm getting enough protein, and it doesn't have, I don't have all of this anxiety attached to it, or this, I don't know, this weird attachment thing. I don't know. I don't understand all of those quirky things that I have done in the past or have felt in the past. And there's a lot of quirky things that I do now that I'm sure in a few years I won't understand. But that is just, that's life. So I am very happy with my relationship with food, with the amounts that I eat, with not having to think about it all of the time. I do wish that my stomach tolerated like broccoli. It does tolerate, like, for a while it didn't tolerate chicken, and a lot of proteins it didn't tolerate very well. A lot of fibrous vegetables it didn't tolerate very well. Like, the gas was just too much. But since those polyps and things have healed, hopefully have just gone away. They're not doing another procedure to see. So I don't know. I don't know there, but my stomach does not have the same effect. And I had like just an aversion where chicken always tasted raw to me after the surgery, and that went away. So the foods that were making me sick no longer do. I recently tried like this much broccoli, like literally it was like, well, it was probably more like that circle. And it definitely blew my stomach out. Like, I could visibly see, like, I had a food baby. So broccoli is not something that I really tolerate. Maybe I won't tolerate it, but that's okay because I have like spinach and lettuce and 1,000 other vegetables to eat. So yeah, so most things my body tolerates really well, and that I'm so grateful for. Speaking of food baby, I am also grateful to be so much closer to being able to try for a kiddo. So whether we do IVF or like whatever ends up happening. So when I agreed to get the surgery, I had to sign a thing, like some kind of medical. I'm sure it's not like any sort of legal binding contract. They're not going to sue me, but it was like a contract. It was an agreement, something I signed. But and my husband signed it too, that we would not try to have a child until 18 months post-op. So that is in the future. We will start meeting with fertility specialists and maybe do IVF. So I really want to lose as much as I can over these next 6 months and just get to that healthy weight, a weight that I can sustain and maintain, and that allows me to do all the things that I want to do in life freely, and allows me to do it for the maximum length of time. Like, sure, I could lose weight and stop losing at 180 pounds and maybe I'll be happy at that weight. But for how in 20 years, my body's not going to carry the same weight the same way I'm carrying it now. And that motivates me to lose more. And also, when I do start that IVF, I know that we'll be doing like hormones and things like that. And so I want to make sure that I'm to a weight where my body fat isn't contributing to like my estrogen. Like, I want to lose as much as I can. I want to get to the healthiest weight I can before we start down that IVF path. So, yeah, I'll keep you keep you posted. If you want to share a few things with completely different directions. So I already shared the intensive enamel repair, toothpaste for sensitive teeth and cavity prevention, repairs weakened enamel. So that is what this is. And it does have fluoride in it, now that I'm looking. I don't know if this works, but I feel like it makes my hair look thicker. It might just make it oily so it feels thicker. I don't know. But the Ordinary Hair Care Serum, I'll link this stuff below. Some of them might be affiliate links. Probably buy them on Amazon or wherever I link to, but also just going to the store or getting it on sale probably makes a lot more sense. So that's probably what I would do. I just started doing this. It was an impulse buy, but it's mostly for my neck. And I don't even know if it's working, but it is advanced retinol. So I think it was Instagram I was on, and then there was like a thing from a dermatologist that I follow, and well, I follow them now. The thing came up, and then but before that, I was using this wrinkle treatment drops, and before I started using it, then when I started using it, I noticed a big change. And I really didn't realize that this was a retinol alternative serum. I thought I would be able to use both, but I guess I probably could use both. But I'm trying this on my neck and the back of my hands. This I keep applying to my face. I love Tula. So these two things I have been using, and I believe that they help. These two things I'm using, and they may just make me feel better. I don't know. There are definitely a lot of things that I wish I knew before the surgery that would have helped the process. However, it's I think it's interesting that even if somebody were to tell me those things, I don't think I would have understood it. So if you guys have questions, you can drop them down below, and I'll do a video in the future and try to answer some of those questions. I will say, I watched a ton of videos on like a list of things, like this is what I brought to the hospital, and this for this, and this for this. And so I ended up getting a bunch of stuff that I didn't need based off of what other people were saying. I wish I would have taken more time to reflect on like myself. Again, like some things you're not going to know until you know. I'll make a separate video on things that I bought and didn't use at some point. I think that would be a good video. Most of the things that are recommended to people who have had this surgery and maintained their weight loss and maintained good vitamin levels in their health for long periods of time, like years and years and years and years and years and years. Most of the things that they recommend are not something bariatric specific. So it's not like, get this bariatric vitamin. It's look at your levels and then find vitamins that have at least this. And if your vitamins are testing here and you need to raise it, like this is what I did to raise it. Like it's not medical advice that they're giving. They're just sharing what worked for them. And the thing about a surgery like this is, one, before surgery, we're all unique, and there are commonalities and similarities person to person, but what works for one person is not going to work for another. That's just the way it is. And then you have a surgery like this, and that just takes that to like the next power. Like what works for me is not going to work for somebody else who may have had this surgery, and what works for someone who has not had the surgery is not going to be like what I'm doing. So like if you look at what I do and what I eat in the day, and you look at like calories, well, the calories that my body is absorbing is going to be very different than the actual number of what's on the sticker. So it's all about finding how my body processes things, and it's just a game of give and take that you figure out along the way. I am so grateful to be where I'm at, to be 103.9 pounds down and ready to lose more. And if you'd like to follow me as I continue to share my journey, click that subscribe button, ding the bell, If there's any questions that you have or things that you're working on, goals that you have, I'd love to hear it. Drop it in the comments below. And thank you so much for encouraging me, supporting me, and sending all of the good vibes and the prayers my way that y'all have. I'm so grateful for y'all. I love you so much, and I look forward to seeing you next time.
Trust you when you say that beauty.